The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, O Lord. 6 days before Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. They gave her dinner for him there, and Martha served, while Lazarus was one of those reclining at table with him. Mary took a liter of costly perfumed oil, made from genuine aromatic nard, and anointed the feet of Jesus and dried them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the oil. Then Judas the Iscariot, one of his disciples, and the one who would betray him, said, "Why was this oil not sold for 300 days' wages and given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief and held the money bag and used to steal the contributions. So Jesus said, "Leave her alone. Let her keep this for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." The large crowd of the Jews found out that he was there and came, not only because of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. And the chief priests plotted to kill Lazarus too, because many of the Jews were turning away and believing in Jesus because of him. The Gospel of the Lord. It's a really quite marvelous gospel passage, and a great step for us to take this Monday of Holy Week as we look forward to Jesus's passion and his crucifixion, his death, and his resurrection. There's too much going on. I mean, there are things, of course, that I just can't pass by because I love them so much. I mean, this comment about Judas is, I don't know, it's remarkable. Do you know, it's like, he was making comments about the poor, but of course, he didn't actually care about the poor. He's just stealing it. So, but the challenge there is, of course, that we turn Judas into something of a caricature, right? Now, John might have had this insight after the fact, as it were, right? Seeing Judas's betrayal of Jesus and coming to find out about the scheme that he had with the religious rulers of his day to turn Jesus over to them. But he likely would not have had that insight at the time. Why? I mean, Jesus still has the money bag, right? He still is the financial steward of the group. He still has the money. And actually, if we look at the Last Supper narrative, where Judas leaves, we see that he leaves somewhat abruptly. But the disciples think to themselves that even at that most sacred moment for them, this celebration of this great Passover meal, Judas, they understand, is going out to give money to the poor. So that's what they all had in mind. I think there's something there. I don't know. You're not catching my wind yet, so I'm going to blow harder. Judas is like he's the prudent one. I mean, Judas is like the guy who's clearly trustworthy enough to handle the group's finances. Judas he's the serious one, isn't he? He might come across as too calculating. But would he really have been seen that way? Too calculating? No, they would have appreciated him for his calculation, probably. It's to manage the affairs of the group. You don't have money, you don't live. You may or may not know that. How you manage your money matters, right? But Judas had that responsibility. He's the go-to guy as far as that goes. He's a pillar of the group. He's just as much one of the 12, right? Jesus continues to call him one of the 12, one of the 12, one of the 12. Right? He's dependable. You can count on him. Yeah? This is important for us because it's an important reflection for ourselves, especially when we hold Judas up against the other character, the character really that kind of steals the show, here. Is Mary of Bethany. Bethany, you remember, Bethany means house of the poor. So there's all this kind of stuff going on in the background. But Mary taking that costly perfumed oil. And it's an extravagant display of affection. You guys know what that is too, right? Affection. You might, if you don't know what affection is, yeah, I know, yeah. Well, look, especially now, look, I mean, it could relate to your loved ones, right? Affection. Sometimes we're too slow to show affection to our loved ones. But are we slow to show affection to Jesus, right? Are we uncomfortable with wild displays of affection for Jesus? You're like Judas then, if you are, right? This is the, yeah, no, I'm not gonna push that too hard, but Mary's display is of love. It's worship. And look at how little she cares about everyone else around her. Now this is like good and bad, you know? If you're like Martha in the I got it, sorry. I mean, their characters shine through here in this scene again, Martha and Mary. If you're like Martha preparing the meal and so on and so forth, she's back there again doing the stuff, right? Doing the things that she has to do. And now there's Mary, not just sitting at Jesus' feet, listening to him attentively, learning from him how she is to be a preacher of the coming kingdom of God. But now she's letting down her hair. I mean, this is scandalous. And this costly display, you know, people know how much these things cost, right? But it's over the top. It's over the top, and it makes everyone feel uncomfortable, right? I should say not everyone. Doesn't the only person that matters? It doesn't, but the rest we get some sense of how they feel uncomfortable by what she's doing. It doesn't matter. She's pouring herself out for Jesus. And this then is really like what sets the stage for us this week, because we'll profit by the saving action of Christ. We'll profit by his death and resurrection. We'll profit by our living through this Holy Week in the measure that we pour ourselves out in love for Jesus. In the measure that we focus on Jesus, so will our benefit be. And that's our call. That's our call. We might know the cost, but we're not going to count the cost. Judas knew the cost of everything, the value of nothing. Are we going to be those people too? Or will we value Jesus? Will we worship him? Yeah, there's much more going on here. It points to his crucifixion, his death, his burial, and the rest. But this is it. This is it for us. Right? What do we value most in life? It has to be Jesus. It has to be Jesus. And if it is, then we'll pour our hearts out for love of him. And we will give ourselves away in his service.